Thank you for staying with us. Until the tree is cut down, the axe cannot rest. For the people of Anambra, all is yet over until the Independent National Electoral Commission, that's INEC, declares the winner of the November 6th governorship election in the states. While results of 21 local government areas have been declared, that of the supplementary election conducted this Tuesday in Ihiala is being awaited for a clear winner to emerge. Then the people will know who the next governor is. Asuko James, I just saw the message from our correspondent. So they finished from Ihiala.
Yes.
So they are going to Sofia.
Yeah.
That's the LG.
Where the LG is.
So before they now come
to Oka.
To Oka to come and make a kind of declaration. It's like done and dusted.
Well, we won't say that here, because INEC is the statutory body to make the final announcement.
We're not declaring the winner. I said done and dusted.
Yes,
the exercise
for the exercise.
Concluded,
yes. You know, there were some itches in terms of because there was like they didn't declare public holiday for that particular
people went about their
so people went about their normal businesses and their activities. And this, that Ihiala has this major highway that leads to Owerri. So that contributed to some little delay. I think that was why INEC actually moved the election to 10 a.m. And so, but that didn't also deter people from coming out, although we didn't have the numbers like we thought. Ihiala has never given us that much number, just like the entire state.
Nobody gave any.
Looking at the last election, Ihiala had 124,588 registered voters, and at the end they had only 27,000 that actually voted. That is last election.
If they get up to that one now.
And this one they have about 148,000 registered voters. So I'm not sure they will even have up to 1%, if not 2%, because of how the whole thing ended. They had transport issues the last time. INEC had difficulty in trying to deploy, to the various areas and all that.
Now, when you look at from the figures you've been saying, and nothing is about to change, as in nothing is about to change in terms of the number of people that come out to vote out of 2.5 million people. When you see the figures that have been declared so far, it's quite abysmal.
Well, that was the fear when the process to the poll itself was being discussed. And the major issue here, which we've had with Anambra in the last 1 year plus, has been the issue of security. Killings here and there. Gunmen who no longer had respect for the military, the police, on rampage. The indigenous people of Biafra declaring this sit at home, that sit at home, on declaring it, and all the rest. So it's not, for me, it's nothing strange. Because like you said, if you had 2.525,471 voters, and with the exception of one local government, all the votes cast in that election had been put at 237,362. Then I don't know what percentage we should be talking about.
All the votes.
Yes. So what it meant was that only this number decided who the governor was going to be, or will be, because now we don't have a governor yet. So if the man is also now going to base, is reaching out to the people on how he was voted for, then he won't do anything for anybody, because he must then look for the people who voted for him. Let's go by what INEC has declared so far. If the candidate of ABGA that is Professor Charles Soludo, should emerge candidate, should emerge the governor, we are looking at maybe another 5,000 or 7,000 votes to be added to the 103,946 votes here. It's alarming that we can elect a governor
out of 2.5 million registered voters.
Out of 2.5 million. So it's alarming. And I don't think, like Azukwo said, Ihiala can get any better.
No.
Ihiala can't get any better because it's still the same scenario. A lot of militarization, a lot of fear here and there. So who wants to go out? Who wants to risk his life? It's only those, permit me to use the word, who have been benefiting from the process, who can risk it, who can say, okay, from this government I've made so I need to go out to go and vote. But for the man who has not had his share of democratic dividend, he sits in the house and watches them. Elect who you want to elect. Life goes on after that, because that's what we have done here.
As well, there seems to be so much disconnect between the governed and the governments, because it's not reflective. The figure that Dr. just read out now, it's quite upsetting, as in when a whole state, the governor will be presiding over a whole state with less than 200,000 votes in a state that has a potential.
No government, anyone here cannot even get 210,000 votes. No. Not even Soludo can get 110,000 votes.
And that is a state that is almost, I know the population of Anambra should be up to 11 million or thereabout. You know, so, and if you have 2.5 million registered voters, and at the end of the day, about, give or take, by the time INEC will want to come and finally conclude the whole thing, less than that number, far less than the number, which is about maybe 200,000 votes, you know, producing the governor, or even 100 and something votes. Let's even use Charles Soludo's own, 100 and something or thereabout, you know, electing a governor shows the disconnect and the trust, the distrust between the governed and the governed. It shows that there is a serious, all governments across, both the federal government, the state and the local government, needs to do a lot of things for them to repose confidence in the people. And then the people must also have confidence in the the government. Because if you look at it, things are happening around, but people don't trust the government anymore. People do not trust the government anymore. So, and
they
that
want
is
to
why,
do everything themselves.
Yes, because if you look at it, Ayo, people nowadays, for you to know that people don't trust government is even you and I. Take for instance, in your compound, are you using government water? You are using borehole. When there is no light, you resort to
comes out
with their generator. So those are the little things that
for
when
security,
people for security you pay OPC for them to guide you. So when people begin to do things all by themselves, that is when people will not, when election comes, people will say, instead of me to go and find who is going to be president, let me go and play soccer. They'll just do small posts and then they will start playing, because they will do monkey pose and they do 5-a-side. You know, so government needs to do a lot so that people will begin to see them as very, very important in their lives. Because in Anambra, for instance, you were there. Can you count the number of good roads that you saw in Anambra? You know, so those are some of the, I'm talking about roads. I don't want to talk about every other thing because the election has not been concluded. So many other things that people would have been disenchanted, people would have been angry about. And that will make them to look at it and say, instead of me to go and vote for somebody that at the end of the day, they won't do what I want, then why should I risk my life? Don't forget, just like Dr. has said, for the past how many weeks and months we are talking about insecurity. So nobody want to risk it. On Monday, yesterday, people were still looking. Will these people that they announced that they should go out or they should not go out? Did people still go out? People were still afraid to go out on a Monday. So, and after this election, will people now sit down on Monday? Will it be going back to status quo? That is some of the things. So people should be able to trust the government. The government has done this election, which we have given them a plus, whether 2 people came out to vote or 3 people came out to vote. But now the state government has a lot of work to do in trying to, the new government will have a lot of work to do. So that at the end of the day, when another election is coming, people should be able to go out and say, yes, this is the person we have voted for, and then we want to, we are satisfied with the person.
Now, the absence of governance or the disconnected government, people seem to be sympathetic to the other narrative. So when people tell them sit down at home, it's easier for them to sit down at home. When government say come out, it's easier for them to sit down at home than to listen to government. So with that, you will see the narrative all over Southeast.
Well, I want to believe that 2 things account for that. One, like you have said, is do we even believe in the government? You are bound to ask yourself, what has this government done for me? The other part of it is this. We've gotten assurances from this government on the issue of security, especially when you look at Anambra. And what has happened in the last few months when this so-called weekly sit-at-home on Mondays had been called. Government says, go out, go and do your businesses. It deploys soldiers, it deploys policemen, you have NSCDC, you have all the rest there. Yet, these gunmen that some have decided to tag unknown still succeed in killing Anambrians. They not only attack the civilians, they go into barracks, they go into prisons, they go into police stations, and they do that. And then you are now telling the citizens, come out to vote. Completely, during this process, we've not had so many cases of violence.
At all.
But nobody wants to even risk it. That's the point. Nobody wants to. I think the only clash we have had so far has been the one reported today. Saturday was largely peaceful.
Yeah.
But we are looking at the figures. How many people came out? I can tell you that when you go and check these figures out, you will see that most of them will be political appointees. You will see that most of them will have security operatives with them moving around. It's just simple, especially when you look at the number of appointees in government, those who are even delegates in their various parties who want to go out to vote. So when you look at this figure, even those people in the parties at that level, they can account for this. They can account for this figure.
Okay, let me take my first caller. Smart is calling us from Ogun State. Thank you for staying with us, Smart. Oh, with us, Smart.
So the government appointees and those in the political parties at the top level, they can account for 200,000. I can tell you that. So they are the ones who have come out to vote, not the ordinary citizens like you and I. Some of them will come out, perhaps if the polling station is quite close to their houses, they know if there's a problem, I can dash in. But not for you, not for a lot of people to want to just leave their houses willingly to go and vote. So those 2 things would have affected the turn-up for the election. And I don't blame anyone. I don't blame anyone. If you ask me to go and elect somebody, it's only when I'm alive that I can benefit from that government.
I have Charles from Lagos State. Thank you for staying with us, Charles.
Hello, Ayo and the crew there. Good evening.
Good evening, Charles.
Yes, in terms of what you're talking about, the number of voters in Anambra,
Yes.
I think the whole thing is general. When you look at the last election in Lagos State, Lagos has over 20 million population. How many voters came out to vote for Lagos election? I think it's general. Even at the federal level, the same thing. You go to other states like Imo, the same thing. The people have nothing to show for coming out to vote. And to see somebody who is a councillor who just is jobless and enters there as a councillor, the next second they start building houses, buying cars, and intimidate people around him. So the Nigerian, there's no pride. How can I come out and vote and be killed? What will I get at the end of the whole thing?
That's the mentality. That's the mentality. Thank you. That's the difference between. That's when we will never get it right if we are still putting up this kind of argument.
Exactly.
I was in Katsina State. Katsina recorded 85% for the last election, and that 85 is even one of the smallest
in that region.
That region. PVC turnout, the number of people that came to collect, the number of people that actually voted on election day. There's the word of Mr. President, Kofa Baru Ward 1 in Katsina State. That's Katsina. When I got to where Mr. President, that President Muhammadu Buhari normally votes, that's his word. I got there around 5 a.m. People were already in the queue. And people did not leave that queue. When it was 7 p.m., people were bringing their Okada, as in to provide lights
for the counting of the votes.
They were monitoring the process. They came out, they voted, they policed their votes. So that's the mentality. That's how Asuko.
Yes, exactly. You know,
even this Meduguri, when there's war.
Yes, exactly. Even this
IDP camp,
I don't care.
They don't challenge attitude.
You know,
that's the problem of the South.
Is what we in the South we are suffering from. We just feel that okay, since I can do everything for myself, anything the government wants to do, let them do, and which is to me, which is wrong. And that our mentality has to change, particularly as we move towards the general election.
Feel on election day, that's when you play 5-a-side.
Exactly.
You know, you go on
so
social media.
Every day we start complaining on social media. That is the only thing. The people
on election
up
day.
North, they don't have time. They don't have time for social media.
Go and check out
once is election day is like on a Friday to them, whereby they are going to mosque. You know, so we must inculcate that kind of habit. When once election comes, we must galvanize people, talk to people who have PVCs, let them go out and vote. You know, because if you bring the wrong person, you shouldn't complain. You understand? If the wrong person is the one that is your councillor, because you did not go out to vote, your one vote can change the whole system. Because this is about numbers. I'm
telling you.
It's about numbers. So if you don't come out to vote, then how do you want to complain tomorrow?
Hello, Ajayi. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Hello,
go ahead, Ajayi.
Yes, I want to participate in the discussion that's going on now.
You're live.
So my contribution to the discussion is we have to find a way to make the life of people who are going out to vote secured. They need to be sure that they are secured. So if their life is not secured, there is no how they will go out to go and risk their life. When you come to the north part of Nigeria, some of them are a little bit more secure than southern part. People don't tend to, they have the belief that they will be secured. Or rather, they have belief that even if they die, they are dying for a good cause. But in the southern part of the country, most of our people don't have that trust in the system. It would be better if Nigeria can go for e-voting, where I can do the voting in my house, in my secured environment. That would be better for all of us. Then we would choose the government for ourselves. That's my contribution. Thank you for the program.
Thank you, Ajay.
I think that's a valid point. We need to up our game. All of us don't necessarily need to come out to vote. We know the way these things are done in other countries. Even those who are outside the country. 2-3 days, 1 week before the election, they started voting. The votes are coming in. But because even this one,
that we are doing physically. There is manipulation. There is mago here and there. Then people begin to ask the question. So when we now go digital, when we do e-voting, won't there be manipulation? Won't there be ghost voters? Because we still have ghost workers in this country. They are bound. So we need to, like I said, get to that point where we can even sit in our homes and vote. And also ensure that those who even come out to campaign and to vote, they feel secured and are actually secured. You shouldn't just feel it, it should happen. Because if we continue this way, like the caller before this person said, the numbers will keep reducing, especially in the south. It will keep reducing.
It will be at
it's going to be at yes, it is going to be. But like I said earlier, it is the person who is alive who can enjoy democratic dividends, not the one who is dead. So you must first stay alive before you think, I want to go and vote.
So, some takeaways from this Anambra election.
Well, I know some people are also bringing the idea about e-voting and all that, but we need to be, I've looked at it, those who are doing the programming for when it comes to digital programming and all, Nigerians, we need to be very smart with it, because even the America, even till today, they are still saying that they have issues with, the counting of the Donald Trump, the Republican and all that. Yeah, but with time, maybe the days that when Nigerians will begin to see election as a great day, that is when we'll begin to appreciate election. From concerning Anambra, I just hope that this is just going to be a litmus test for INEC. They've used this opportunity to test the beavers, and we want to see how it will be in the next election. Maybe it will be better. But we have learned a lot of lessons from it. At least the fears, the apprehension, and all that people were expressing then. Nobody was killed.
Creation of social media.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody was killed, and that is one of the takeaways from this election.
Doesn't?
Well, we should learn that there is no other way to effect a change in those who govern us than going out to vote for who we want. The idea of people saying revolution, mass protest, and all the rest, the world over will never support
this
that.
Is the legitimate
it is still going to be.
Once in 4 years. Once you miss it, you miss it. So there's nothing like this person must go.
Exactly.
That person must go on the street. Once you miss it, this is an opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
So if you want the government packing, send that government packing.
Through the ballot. We must get it right.
Through the ballot.
Yes. If we don't get to the point where we're able to organize ourselves, for instance, you can decide that, see, as a community, we want to take over this local government. And you go for it. You don't need to do the state. You don't need to do it at the federal. Start even at the ward level.
Yes, at the ward level. Start from the ward.
Look at the impact.
Mm-hmm.
Then when people begin to see what you are doing as a political party, as individuals, then we are good to go.
We'll be right back after this time out. Please stay with us. It's Journalist Hangouts.